Oh. Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Saeed TV. We are live for the MUFC Unfiltered podcast. We are here Sunday night. Big up to the community. Hope you lot are doing well. Hope everybody's good. Hope everybody's blessed, first and foremost. You feel me? Because that's the main thing. You feel me? Football becomes secondary. But yeah, we're here. Hopefully Ash will be joining us very, very soon. Double A can't make it. Flawless is also at a music festival, so big up to Flawless. But we do have man like Ash in the building. What are you telling me, Shells?
I'm good, man. Big up. Large for having me. Always good to be on Saeed TV, do you know what I'm saying? Big up the panel and make sure you smash the likes, man. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah, big up to you. I think James is sorting himself out. He can't hear us, I think, right now.
I'm going to go out and then come back in. I can't hear anyone.
Yeah.
Bear with me.
Cool. Say no more. So big up to you. But yeah, listen, people, before I start here, I want to just send a very, very warm kind of message to Ederson and his family, and just sending him my best wishes. He is still alive. Christian Ederson fell to the ground unconscious, but this is a statement from the national team doctor. Christian is doing well and walked off the pitch by himself. As I see it, the pacemaker responded as it should. He was briefly unconscious, but regained consciousness very quickly and will quickly in contact with him. He will now undergo further examinations at the hospital, determining what caused the incident. We are ongoing contact with him and the doctors at the hospital. But Christian is doing well, and he asked me to send his regards to all the players and tell them he is okay. So yeah, man. Yeah, it's not nice. It's not. It's one of them ones, isn't it? Really, man. It's a bit sad, but I always say, man, like I feel like he's just got to call it an end to his career now, isn't it? Really, Shells, man. Like he's coming towards the end now. I think for me, you should call it an end to his career. But what do you think, bro?
No, you know what? It's an unfortunate situation, innit? And I feel like with this, like you just have to put your health first. I think it's the second time this has happened now. And yeah, man, there's no guarantees in life, bro. I know you love football and you've had an incredible career, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So for me, I think second time, obviously I'm not no doctor, but yeah, man, I say call it and go from there, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But shout out to Ederson every single time, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I can echo them thoughts. Big up Ash in the building. I don't know if Ash, you know about the Ederson collapse on the floor, but yeah, just
so about an hour ago, I think it was. Yeah, it's sad news, isn't it? Obviously, you know, but it's one of those. The guy was willing to take a risk, and I mean, I think everyone wouldn't have been saddened by him just saying, you know what, I retire. That's enough. I'm going to think about my family. But he's continued on. He's had a couple of years. Hopefully now he does retire. I'm not sure anything's come about, but hopefully he'll retire now. And you know, there's plenty of careers in football. He can go and be a coach. He doesn't need to have that exertion on his heart, you know, on his system. So for me, I'd love to see him go be a coach, go be a pundit, go. You know, just he doesn't need to play football. He's done it now. Do you know what I mean? So
that's it, man. That's it, man. So listen, man. Let's hopefully he you know, the results come back well, and yeah, man. Best of luck to Ederson. You get me. Also, there is news regarding some positive news, very, very positive news, and that is regarding Ederson. I mean, it was only last week, guys, he signed for Manchester United, and now he's going to the World Cup. Talk about Man United juice. Talk about the Man United effect. Carlo Ancelotti has called Ederson to replace Wesley at the World Cup for Brazil. Atalanta midfielder joins immediately and then will sign as a Man United player in July, guys. This is massive, man. I'm so happy for him, but it just shows you, man, like, I don't know. Does he get that United? Does he get that World Cup spot if he didn't join Man United? Like, let's be honest, though. I don't know if he does, man. Let's be big up to Ederson and that, but yeah, man, it just shows you when you join Man United, the pull is different, man. Because he could have chose anyone. He could have chose a fellow right back. He could have chose another midfielder that wasn't Ederson. He could have chose anyone, but he chose Ederson. You feel me? So apparently, if you don't make the Brazil squad, you're rubbish. Apparently, guys, you know what I mean. That was a notion. Oh, he's not going to Brazil. He's not going to the World Cup. He's rubbish. Why did we sign him? Well, here's your reason why. You know what I mean? It's just that I said for me, guys, that he's chosen Fabinho. He knows he's chosen people that he knows in it. Really, he didn't take a gamble. Sometimes you got to take a gamble, and he's done it, man. Shells, what do you say about this?
No, I think you're right in terms of the United juice. Let's be real. And one thing I will say on the whole point is that just because you're not picked for your national team doesn't make you a bad player.
Facts.
We've seen it many single times. You know what I'm saying? Like a manager can just pervert certain players, like Palmer, Foden. They all missed out. Are they bad players because they had one bad season? Do you get what I'm saying? So there's context to everything, but definitely the United juice definitely kicked in for sure. But one thing I would say, looking at the Brazil squad, they're actually hella light in midfield. So they had Bruno Guimaraes, Casemiro, Danilo, Fabinho, and Paqueta. But other than that, that's a 5, bro. So they had 9 defenders, and they had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they have 9 forwards. So they needed a midfield cover anyway. And I think Fabinho, in his younger days, used to play as a right back. So maybe they're looking at he can cover there, and also Ibanez, who plays now in the Saudi league. He's a centre back by trade, but he can fill in that right back as well. So yeah, I'm happy in it. I'm happy for Ederson.
Yeah, man.
I'm not happy for him. take the summer off. Do you know what I mean? Relax. Go lay by the pool. Get himself ready for Man United. Don't care about the World Cup. Don't care what he's doing over there. Do you know what I mean? Let's focus on the football club. He's just going to be sat there in the background. Anyway, I can't imagine he's going to get many starts. I think if he was going to get into the team, then I think he nails down his place. But yeah, as soon as I heard that news, I saw a lot of United, excitement from United fans, and I was the opposite. I was thinking, oh no, do you know what I mean? Because I thought he was going to come in fresh for us.
Yeah. I kind of hate what you point. It's like with Kobe Mainoo. I couldn't care less if Kobe Mainoo to play for England. Like it doesn't bother me because at the end of the day, I'm a United fan first. Then England becomes second or third or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's more so the storyline behind it, James, where people were saying that Ederson wasn't part of the Brazil squad, hence why we all wanted him just to go there, innit? You feel me? Just to hold that to the rivals, innit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, listen, no one cares unless it's Man United, do they, mate? Like, no one cares. His Instagram followers is about to shoot up. Like, he's front page news now, and back page news. He wasn't mentioned beforehand. United are massive, aren't they? And love us or hate us, people can't stop talking about us. And it's exactly like the guy said, even if he wouldn't have gone at the end of the day, it doesn't make him a bad player. Morgan Gibbs-White, I'd snap your hand off for him in United's midfield or forward line. I'd snap your hands off for quite a few players like Phil Foden, Cole Palmer. They all improve our team. So just because you don't go to the World Cup doesn't mean you're not a good player. And listen, face it, what did they say they were taking? 6 midfielders? So you're not one of the best 6 Brazilian midfielders on the planet? That doesn't really mean you're bad, does it, to be fair?
Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah, big up Ederson, man. We'll see you at the World Cup, and hopefully you shine, my friend. But listen, people, we've got a podcast to run, and it's about midfielders. Shock, you know what I mean? We're going to continue the conversation because there's a lot of talk, right, about what Man United want. What do Man United think they need? What sort of midfielder should we get? Is it this player? Is it that player? Obviously, there's a lot of names that United have been linked with. Of course, it's natural. Man United always linked with the best names possible. But which is attainable, which is reliable, which is gettable, which is do we should move on from? And do we go back to old flames, as they say? You know what I mean? Like, what do we go back to? So I'll start off with you, Shells, here. Like, United need 2 more midfielders. Mm-hmm. Is it money a concern for you? Is it the fact that United need to get the right two? Is it the balance for you? Where do you look at in terms of next two midfielders? Is it as obvious as it looks? Like where do you, when you look at the midfielders right now, we know we want to, we all as a fan base want to, but is it about getting the right two? Talk to me.
Yeah, it's definitely about getting the right two, because this is a position we've neglected since even Ferguson days. Do you know what I mean? We haven't replaced Michael Carrick. So it's definitely, we have to get the right balance as well. So for me, I'd go and grab two. I think it's the same way we rebuilt our forward line last season and had a success there. We need the same situation and story of our midfield this season. So Ederson's a start. That's a profile there. That's more of a box-to-box. Good on the ball. Great ball carrying abilities. And do you know what's crazy? As bad as like the everyone's been saying, oh, why have we signed Ederson like that? If you actually talk to people that's watched Serie A, they've only got good things to say about him. So let's just wait, watch him play, then we can have our judgment there. But the next two, I think we have to go and get Matheus Fernandes, bro. I feel like we have to go and get him, in my opinion. Look at the clubs that he's linked with, and that want him. Real Madrid, PSG, Arsenal, Liverpool. He's given priority to us, and I just feel like he reminds me of a young Bruno G, and he's 21 years old, bro. So I feel like you have so much potential there, and he covers a lot of bases in our team. He can play 6, 8, and 10. So I'd definitely go and grab him. And then the next one for me is about balance. We've got no real number 6 in our team. With Ederson's an 8. Kobbie's kind of been molded under Carrick as a number 6. He's been the deepest midfielder. But I still think, as good as he is, I feel like he can also do damage further up the pitch as well. And there's no real 6 that we've been linked to. So that's my kind of concern. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I think the other midfielder we've been linked to is Alex Scott as well. And then I think, is that too many similar profiles rather than an out-and-out 6? So for me, it's just about getting a balance. But then when we look about out-and-out number 6, who is there? Tchouameni's not really available. Let's be real, guys. Do you know what I mean? Mourinho is going to keep Tchouameni. It don't make any sense for them to get rid of him. And then the other 6, who else would you go to? Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of confused why we're not linked with Wharton. I know there's a couple articles that says the club view Mainu and Wharton very similar. But yeah, I would be exploring something like that. I don't know, man. It's just, I just feel like we have to get the balance right. But Matheus Fernandes is a must, in my opinion.
Yeah. I have got something about Matheus Fernandes. Shout out to Sully. He broke it down here. I'm just going to paraphrase everything what he said. But he said it's normal for a player of his quality, given how talented he is. And it's how fan base are panicking. You have to remember John Mendes is a smart businessman. And it's because reports coming out West Ham side that the interest is there, which I believe is over-exaggerated. West Ham will want to generate as much money as possible. Does clubs like Napoli, Aston Villa like Fernandes? Of course they do. But he has given us our priority. He prefers to move to Man United. They do want 80 million, but he said United wouldn't pay that, and neither would most clubs. It's one to keep an eye on, but it's important the fans not believe a lot of fake reports and jump into the gun and guesswork. And the Carrick admires him. And I said a lot of cards being paid at the moment from all sides. For now, let the games begin. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are just becoming very, very negative around the story. It's almost as if like people think that this transfer is gonna just go like that, like, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, cool. We got Ederson one, right? But you can't expect this one to be done quickly. You know what I mean? But Ash, Matheus Fernandes, does that excite you? 80 million, is that worry you a little bit? Or is it one of them ones where everyone now has got a base fee now of like 70 million for some reason? Like, man, no one's going for 60. Maybe a Baleba's going for less than that. I don't know. So, yeah, man. What do you say about that?
You know what? Matheus Fernandes, I watch him and I think he's okay. You know, he's a good player. Relegated twice. For me, he doesn't get me excited. When you look at a Manchester United midfield, you know, Matheus Fernandes, Kobbie Mainu, Bruno. Okay, Kobbie and Bruno, but Kobbie's, I don't think you can rely on him, for the full season, because he's young and he's going to have his moments where he's going to have to be taken out of the team, especially considering playing Champions League and stuff. But Matheus Fernandes, would Luis Enrique sign him? Or is he that kind of a player that's going to be able to control midfields? Is he going to be able to get on the ball? At the highest level, at the top level, I want someone who's a little bit more has more ability on the ball. You know, and even if I was going to take that kind of a risk on a player who, say, in the lower brackets, I like João Gomez. Do you know what I mean? I think he would have been decent. You know, you've seen him on the ball, but again, for me, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking. Last year we signed Cunha and Mbermo. Now those were almost two guaranteed signings, weren't they? Top tier in their position. We knew last year two of the best players in their position last year. Was Mateus Fernandes the best player in his position this season? I'm not too.
He did go a little bit. I can't lie to you. If you look at the actual talents of the Premier League, he was up there with one of the most talented players in his position for the age as well, and for the position that he had to pick up at West Ham. I can't lie to you, bro. He looked good.
Yeah, but I don't see it like that. I see a lot of people say that, but what tends to happen with players, midfielders especially, they control games. It doesn't matter how poor you are as a midfielder, they can control games. I'm looking back to Roy Keane versus Portugal, Roy Keane versus Holland. I mean, he was basically the only good player on the field. He gets them draws, he gets them performances against France. For me, I look at the quality in someone on the ball who I feel like, you know, could hit those levels. And for me, I'm looking at Adam Wharton. I feel like, you know, there's a player who looks like he's dangerous for any. I don't know if you saw the pass in the Conference League final in the first half. Beautiful pass, beautiful. But it's those kind of risky balls. But the precision on him, you know, and the control in the tight spaces, I like. I'm a big fan. But again, we don't know what he'd be like, you know, at the highest level. And for me, both of them would be a risk. As a United team now where we need to get to the next level, if you're looking at our midfield and you're going Fernandes, Mainu, or Fernandes, Ederson, Bruno, you're not. If you're Real Madrid, you're PSG, you're looking at a team and thinking, okay, I mean that's not too much to worry about there. You know, I want a midfield that's scary, that you listen to. What Shell said earlier about Tchouaméni. I mean, the man, he's been in the interview with Varane. He's almost hinting that he'd like another challenge, a new challenge somewhere else. He's going to play under Mourinho. No, let's be honest. You know, players these days, they don't want to play that Mourinho style anymore. You know, they want to play more expansive, open football. Although it might suit Tchouaméni, but I'd slap as much money as possible, you know, on the table for someone like Tchouaméni, because at least if you're going to play that profile who isn't the best on the ball, you get someone who's a destroyer, who's someone who you just can't pass. And we're losing a big name in Casemiro. I mean, a big personality. And I'm looking at it in the dressing room, and you need someone to lift these players. You know, I'm not sure Mateus Fernandes, who, you know, relegation, you know, 2 times relegated. Players are looking at him going, is he a jinx? Is he a curse? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If Tchouaméni's coming in, though, if Tchouaméni's coming in, Tchouaméni slaps his medals on the desk there, right? There you go, boys. World Cup, Champions Leagues. Listen, don't worry, I've got you. That's what I want in a Man United midfield. And that's all I'm saying. I feel like it feels like a Liverpool under Brendan Rodgers signing Mateus Fernandes. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like a Liverpool. It feels like that kind of a mid to low level player, you know. And
it's only 21 though. I mean, there's room for improvement there. You know, we've seen players that come into our club and they're being young and bro, they've taken the next level like Man United. You know what I mean?
I do agree with that. I do agree, but usually that's been like the unearthed gems, hasn't it? You know, from Europe and whatever, but. You know, we've seen what he's done in the Premier League. Like I said, for me, I'd look at Tonali. I'd look at Wharton. I'd look at... But don't get me wrong, as a signing, then you've got to go and get another. Yeah, but I don't know. Just doesn't fill me with confidence.
You're going to say something there, Charles? You're gonna
I was just going to say, I don't feel like you've watched him enough then, because I feel like he's very good on the ball. I feel like that's one of his better traits. And then, you know, I say the game against Arsenal, the game at Arsenal.
Let me just the comments are going mad. I meant World Cup final, not World Cup winner. World Cup finalist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's very good on the ball, man. And I think I understand your sense in the Tchouaméni, bro. Listen, he's my first choice as well. But I'm just saying, in terms of realistically, I don't see it happening. But I think Fernandes is a lot better on the ball than you're giving him credit for. And he's still 21 and he covers 6, 8 and 10. And I say that game against Arsenal, you're talking about a guy controlling midfield. He was the best player on the pitch, barring the chance he missed. Do you get what I'm saying? So I do hear you, though. I want a Tchouaméni, don't get me wrong. But I think Fernandes is a top... has the potential to be a top player, and there's reason why those big clubs are interested in him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. James, what are you saying? Is it a balance there of like players who have got experience, but then also players that could become something special at Man United? Or are we just looking for that ready-made talent that needs to come in and settle in? Because we technically, maybe Ash is right. Like, you need to bring something in right now that we can believe in. Something that's going to take a while to marinate. You know, it might not be the one.
Well, listen, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other in it, Saeed. Like, we'd all love ready-made people to come in, but you can't do that in every position. We don't have the budget to do that in every position. And those kind of players aren't available all the time, and they may not want to come. So, yes, Carrick's in a tricky situation because he's got, what, a 2-year contract? Realistically, he does need people to come in and hit the ground running. He can't give people 3, 4, 5 years to gel into this player that they may become. I kind of agree with a lot of what the guy said. I actually think Tchouaméni is more realistic than they're giving it credit for. I think with the whole Mourinho thing, I think it could happen. And the fallout of Real Madrid, I think there's going to be a big shake-up there this summer. I think one of Mbappe or Vinny will go, probably Mbappe. I think there'll be a huge shake-up with Mourinho there. And I think Tchouaméni, as a 6, is the main person that I would go for. Because I don't think if you get any of the others that Kobbie Mainoo is a mainstay in the team. Because I think if you're going to play Kobbie in an 8, you need an absolute destroyer of a 6 next to him. And I don't think any of the others do that role, to be honest. So, like, I would chuck the money at Tchouaméni if I was honest. Fernandes, the danger, I guess, is George Mendes as an agent. West Ham saying they want 80 million. Is he worth 80 million? No. They're obviously bigging up his fee. If I was United on a team, relegated team, big bills on the stadium, going to be in huge financial trouble. They need to offload someone. United's transfer business has been pretty good since Ineos has come in. Shaved the budget down, like controlled incomings, controlled the wage budget coming in. I'd slap like a 50 million, 55, try and get him for 60. If you get him for 60, I think that's absolutely fine. I think he's been good this season. He's not going to be one of these players that slams his medals or his runners-up medals on the desk and says, there you go. But you can't blame getting relegated twice on him either. Like, that's just like, that's a bit of a red herring, to be honest. That's not fair to like label the fact that he's been relegated twice. You know, I'm not that it's a great comparison, but Maguire had been relegated. He's had a pretty good season. Like,
Exactly.
No, but you're going to slate but you're going to slate him and say he's not good enough or whatever. But you can't say like Harry Maguire's not going to the World Cup, right? He should be going to the World Cup. The reason for not taking him to the World Cup is because he got relegated with Sheffield United. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a reason to judge someone at all.
I've never been a Maguire fan. I gotta be honest. The boys know I've never been a Maguire fan anyway. Do you know what I mean? So it's,
yeah.
I listen. I just think I'd like.
Went, though, Ash? Sorry, Adam. Do you not think he should have went though, Maguire?
Yeah, because generally our options at England are just horrendous. Like at the back, we're awful. You know. So yeah, 100%.
100%. I agree with you. But now, you know what it is? It's an interesting one because it's like we got so many midfielders to choose from, guys. Like this is the thing, guy. If I was to name you the midfielders right now, Man United could go and get this summer. Tchouaméni, Matheus Fernandes, Tonali, Wharton, Anderson, which again you might think is not available, but he's technically still available. Stiller, Camavinga, Baleba. Who else is out there?
Fernandes.
I think did I mention Fernandes?
Lamine Camara, Manu Kone.
Yeah, bro, like there's at least 11 midfielders available. I feel like now it's got to a point now where we have to almost like decide which 2 we're looking for. Does it become that, guys? Or do we just, Alex Scott, yeah. Or do we just explore the market and just enjoy it? It's like when you go to pick a mix. You know what I mean, bro? Like, you know what I mean? You might go to the toffee side. You might go to get something else, the laces. You might go somewhere. Like, you might just, that's why it's called a pick and mix. Man United now, we can afford to just relax and just let the summer marinate. I feel like it's almost like that year now where we're so giddy and excited, yeah. But at the same time, you don't want to rush and get the worst decision possible. Because if you do, you're gonna have to be left to ruin. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna be stuck with them. But if you wait and just pick the right ones, we'll be good. Like, the whole summer is still there, guys. Like, it's mad. That's why I believe United are looking at data. They're looking at analysis. They're looking at Carrick. They're looking at the money, we don't need to be going in this early. Ederson was done early because it's 34 million, low risk, high reward. And it was someone that we were looking at for many years, by the way, 2 to 3 years. Same with Matheus Cunha. If you actually look at Matheus Cunha, they were actually looking at Matheus Cunha since 2022. I don't know if you've seen that report. So I think United needs just to be very, very much relaxed a little bit. Like, there's no rush, there's no hesitancy. I'm not worried one bit about the midfield because I just know there is a lot to choose from. And maybe Ash might have a different point of view of different styles, you know what I mean? Different kind of whatever. You know what I mean? You want bankers. I would love Tchouaméni. If we can't get Tchouaméni, listen, we could go and get Adam Ward. We could go and get Matheus Fernandes. We could go and get Alex Scott. Tonali. There's so many, man, to choose from that I believe we're in a very, very good position this year, like this summer. And it puts more pressure on Ineos because now they've got to get 2 more instead of 1 more. That's one thing that I want to see, though, is that United get 2. If they rest their laurels on only 1 more, that's when I'm going to be worried. That's when I'm going to be like, yo, are you taking a mick? Are you actually taking a mick here? Like, we need 3 midfielders. 2 that we've just, 1 that we've already signed, and 2 more. If we don't, then yeah, that's when I'd be worried. That's when I'd be like, you know what? Fair enough. I'm not hearing that. You see what I'm trying to say?
Saeed, all those people you mentioned, though, how much of that is paper talk? Like I mentioned it to you before. I looked at the odds of who United could sign right this summer, and I could only really find odds on midfield on like 3 players. Elliot Anderson is a huge odds-on favourite to go to Man City, and United are down the list. Tonali is favourite to stay at Newcastle, and then we're the favourite to sign him after that. So he's odds-on to stay at Newcastle, and then we're favourites to sign him. And then Matheus Fernandes, we're favourites to sign, and then Real Madrid are second favourites, right? So they're the 3. Apart from that, couldn't find odds on Baleba, couldn't find odds on Wharton, couldn't find odds on any of those players you mentioned. So how much of it is paper talk and how much of it is realistic? The bookies are usually pretty clued up. And I won't drop names, but one of my clients is best mates with one of the scouts at Man United. And he says they're very interested in certain people. They're not very interested in other people. Some of the names you've mentioned, they categorically do not think they can get, and they are not interested in. And some of the people they are looking at.
Yeah, that is fair. That is fair. Like it comes down to, right, as in, we don't need to be doing the Elliot Anderson route of paying that much money. But then again, people want quality over quantity. Like if we buy, for example, Baleba and, I don't know, Alex Scott, but are they, if you were to merge them together, you know what I mean, would you get that of Anderson, or would people assume that you could get that from somewhere else? Tonali, for example. Like Tonali, for me, I don't think he's worth 90 million. He's a perfect example of a player that's, for me, overpriced. Now, could you get that in Baleba and Alex Scott, what Tonali does? Could you get that in someone else? This is the thing, Bandem. We have to realize, like, you paying that much money for players, but not getting the actual outcome and the actual performance from them, it's a different conversation. You see what I mean? So that's where I'm at right now. Like, buying for value, but backed by data, backed by eye test, that's the most important, but also complement each other right now, because we don't need to be making midfield mistakes. That's one thing why I think the Glazers, and Ineos mostly, are making sure is that they don't make another mistake. Ugarte was a big mistake. I held my hands up, guys. I watched the Copa America. I saw what I saw. I thought it was the right one. I looked at it and I was like, maybe it was too late for me. Maybe 4 a.m. I was just half asleep. You know what I mean? But I got it wrong. Hence why you can't get the same ones wrong again. You see what I mean? You can't. It's paramount you don't make that mistake.
Do you know what? Only thing I'll say on your point of United don't need to rush is that obviously we're not the only team in the market, Saeed. Do you know what I'm saying? So
true.
You can't. You have. It's a balance, isn't it? You have to, like you said, we have to take our time with this position. Of course, we have to get the right options. But if there is targets that we actually want, and they're being looked at by other clubs, then we might have to move quickly. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's all scenario based. But we just this midfield situation.
Historically, though, they only get one in early, don't they? They get one in early, and then the rest follow afterwards. So historically, we make one signing in like June, and then the rest coming in like late July, August, don't they? So I'd fully expect United won't do anything now until after the World Cup.
Yeah, there was a super chat here, yeah, and there was a comment, to be fair, as well, in terms of like Bruno complimenting Bruno. That's obviously got to be a conversation of what we do, like, or is it a conversation anymore? Because a lot of people, like me and James, we have different opinions about Bruno Fernandes. I'm sure Ash and whoever out there, I still believe United need to cater towards Bruno Fernandes, because he does leave the midfield a bit exposed. He does leave the midfield to do what they do, and partly it's because he wants to be that enforcer up front. But it does raise a question of who do you bring in to complement the rest. And I thought Manu and Bruno did well. Okay, it was one game a week, but they did well in that. Is that a factor in what the conversation will be this summer? I mean, I start with you, Ash. Is that a factor?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't. With Bruno, for me though, it's as much as you want chemistry within the team. Bruno, he's almost a player that you can't really have that chemistry because he's so free thinking in his thought and in his play. So he's so because he's got so much freedom in the way he plays. It's a difficult thing to do with him. That's why I don't really see it as much of a big problem trying to build that chemistry with a player coming in. I think you just need two solidish players behind him, which allows him then to roam. Because especially playing in that almost 4-4-2 system that Carrick plays at times, especially in the press, you just need legs in the midfield. That's why I think Ederson's a good signing, because the amount of running he can do in the midfield. I mean, again, someone who's not necessarily the best on the ball, which always worries me. Yeah. But it's just having players that can fill in those gaps, because we've seen many times with Casemiro, and Kobe, not having the legs, and then what tends to happen is we have to drop a little bit deeper and allow teams to have the ball in front of us, so that they feel a little bit safer in the midfield. We don't tend to press from Kobe and Casemiro. So let me go back to something you said a minute ago about Anderson though, and the money and the outlay of Anderson. Do we need to be doing that? Did Arsenal need to do that with Declan Rice? Did they need to outlay 110 million? Do you know what I mean? Well, a lot of people have said no, they didn't need to do it, but you look where they are. You look what he's done in that team with them. So for me, if you're looking at a player, and I'm looking at Anderson, and I feel like Anderson, where he is now, he's almost tops all the charts with passes per 90, with winning possession, with his blocks, with everything. It feels like he's in a better position now than Declan Rice was when Arsenal picked him up from West Ham. So I'm looking at a signing like Anderson, thinking, well, if everyone knows he's going to slot in and he's going to be a guaranteed player in there in that midfield, we know what he can do, then why not go outlay that kind of money? You're looking at Man City, and all you've got to say to Elliot Anderson is, I mean, we don't know when the 115 charges are being slapped down. We don't know, what the team looks like next year with Maresca. What you do know is United are in an ascendancy, and you get to play for Manchester United in the Champions League. For me, I'd be laying out the big money for him personally, and I'd be more than happy to spend the 100 million. And people say, "Oh, we've not got the money." I mean, these talk and rumours that we've got 300 million, and you look at the amount of sales we can make. Yeah, I just look at that, and I feel like we'll be looking back in 5-6 years going, we made a mistake there. He's a top player. He's got that like Gerrard about him. He takes the game. He controls it, and for me,
is it worth it? That amount of money, that's the problem.
Can I just say one thing on that?
Sorry, Shells. Let me just finish. Would you have paid 120 plus million for a 22, 23-year-old Gerrard? I think you would, and that's where I'm looking at Anderson quality wise. I
can't really say that because the game was different back then. You know what I mean? Like it was one of them where like youngsters weren't as, especially in England, it was one of them you rarely found these generational talents from the academy. Only United really was an example. West Ham, if it wasn't for Redknapp in that, remember that conference room where he was like, my cousin, would he say something like that, or whoever, he'll be the best player in the Premier League, and they basically didn't rate him at the time. So you find these little gems, but bro, like in this day and age now, 115 million on Anderson, who's had what, a good season at best. I know he had a decent spell at Newcastle when he was there, but it's a very dangerous precedent to put in there. Dangerous,
I'm just looking at it and thinking, you know, at least there, you know, you've got a player who again is topping the charts. He's topping the charts in all the areas, and you know, you look at him. He controls games, and you know, he's dominant. He's got the physicality. He's got the passing range. And he does look someone who will go on to be, you know, one of England's best in the midfield. And either that, or you go and buy a Tchouaméni, okay, albeit different kind of players, and then you supplement around him. But I just feel we need a player in there that's you know, like we did last season in the attack. We made statement signings. We got Cunha, we got Mbeumo, and people went, oh, you know, no one. If you'd have said to anyone, you know, the January last that we were going to end up with Cunha and Mbeumo, they'd have said you were mad. Do you know what I mean? And then we end up buying those players, and look what it's done to the attack. It's the equivalent. I'm just looking at it. Yeah, I feel like Anderson, Tchouaméni, you know, more bigger players in the midfield. You know, I like Alex Scott. I like Fernandes. I mean, Fernandes is okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's a terrible player, but I just don't feel like it's that level now. You'd be talking about time and marinating players and all that, and how long it's going to take for them. And Carrick's got what? He's got 2 years. That's what he's got. You know, what's he need?
Well,
yes,
might want him out after 1 year. Who knows?
So,
you know,
and not
crazy.
And not just that. How long's Cunha got? How long's Mbeumo got? You know, they're getting older. You know, they'll be in 3 years' time. They're 30s, aren't they? You know, both 26, 27. So 30-year-old, you know, wide players. It's like we need while we've got a bit of advantage now, while the league's trying to play catch up. We're in a strong position right here. You know, so for me, I'd like to try and take advantage of that. And okay, if we make a mistake, then you know it's back to the drawing board. But isn't it always that back to the drawing board?
100%. You're gonna say something.
Say one thing on that. Do you know? I agree with your point in a sense where valuation is, a player's worth is what you make it. Basically, is what it's worth to your club. So if Man United deem him at 150 million, then cool. I'm not fussed by that. I agree with you. Elliot Anderson's a fantastic midfielder. I think Declan Rice, Caicedo, no one talks about their price for what reason of the impact they've done. However, if Anderson doesn't want to come to Manchester United, why we're not going to bid for him? It's just simple as that. He's prioritized going to Man City over us. So it's like he don't want to come here. This Newcastle got this one-sided hate with us, and it's obviously carried over to Elliot Anderson. I'm with you, but he just doesn't want to be here. He wants to go to the blue side, unfortunately. So we're wasting our time with that. I've been saying this all summer. Like that's been the report all summer that he would rather go to Man City over Man United.
Categorically, Man United do not believe they can get. They don't believe they can get Elliot Anderson. They don't.
But also, you know what it is though? I'm actually quite happy they don't think they can, like they think it's not worth wasting their time over. We don't need to get involved in the saga. Man City don't need to plug as many holes as we do. We cannot afford to be wasting a whole summer and spending a huge chunk of our silence on a midfielder of that quality with that sort of money. For once, Man United are making a smart decision and moving away from that. And
who's the best defensive mid we've had recently?
Casemiro.
And what saga was that at the end of that we signed him from?
De Jong.
Correct. So we spent all summer chasing Frankie de Jong, Eric Ten Hag's man, right? All summer flirting with Barcelona. Romano was saying, oh yeah, we're going to get him. He wants out. And then he was on the bus for the pre-season tour and he was on the plane to there and we were believing we were going to get him and we didn't. And in the end, we just chucked 70 million euros and was like, oh, Casemiro, he came in and had one of the best seasons I've seen from a player in a United shirt, bar Bruno, this season in the last 15 years. It was amazing, right? So I'm with you. Like Elliot Anderson would be a great player. United don't believe we can get him. I know we can't get him. So we're not going to get him. So park that one. Tchouaméni, realistic. I think that could happen. But I just think like before on your point about Bruno Fernandes, and I think you kind of painted us as having different opinions. Like I'm some Bruno hater. I love Bruno Fernandes. So don't paint me as a Bruno hater because I'm not.
I'm the pride of the hater, or the lover.
No, it's just so basically you've got like you've got people that are like, oh, how do you solve a problem like Bruno? Go and ask the other 19 teams in the Premier League if they'd take a problem like Bruno Fernandes, because every single one of them takes him at their club and you work out around him. Chelsea take him, Arsenal take him, City take him, Spurs take him, Villa take him. Everyone takes Bruno Fernandes and you figure out what to do around Bruno. So don't pretend like Bruno is the issue. Bruno isn't the issue. Getting the best out of Bruno is a conversation, like you said. You need to have a real destroyer of a six or two people that contribute well in the role of a 6 to get the most out of Bruno. You can't have Casemiro and Kobe because, as it proved last season, they kind of get cut through and split with one pass. And we suffered under transition numerous times last season. Like people one pass through. And we need either two defensive-minded players or we need an absolute animal. And by animal, I'm talking the likes of Chouameni. There's not many around. People like Prime Kante, Prime Fernandinho, Prime Makalele, Prime Rodri, Prime Busquets, Prime Casemiro. These people that could Prime Roy Keane. These people that could do the midfield general role of a 6 on their own. They don't exist much. Even Rice has the help of Zubimendi next to it. There's not many people that can do it on their own and just say, right, you go and we don't need any defensive work from you, Bruno. You just go up there and we've got it back here. So we need two people to make up for that one. So on your comment before of, do we need Elliot Anderson or can we have two players? And is it worth taking a gamble on one player versus two? The two sides of that coin is, well, most transfers, about 50-50 work out, right? Some work out, some don't. So if you sign two players, then one of them is more likely to work. So that's the positive. The negative is you can only play 11 players on a football pitch. So signing two to do a job of one doesn't work when you can only put 11 out and not 12. So obviously the one person that brings the attributes is better than a two. But it's the risk versus reward thing that United have to figure out. And Ineos, I think, are very risk averse. They're very much focused on the financials. They've made a lot of mistakes financially with the managerial side, which is why they've only given Carrick a 2-year contract. And I don't think they're going to take a risk on £100 million plus player. They'd much rather get two £50 million players for that. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just get the some super chats in. Guys, we've got 1.1k in the building. Please hit the like button. I know you're watching right now. You're loving the show. But please, guys, hit the like button. Let's get to 500 likes ASAP. Big up to Imok says, we can all agree PSG, Bayern, Barca, City play the best quality football. They all have one thing in common, a technical 6 instead of a destroying 6. Scott over Chouameni. I mean, you know what it is? I don't think football now has been played with a common 6 now. You have players that are fluid. Fluidity is what's what's winning football right now. Fluidity. PSG, probably the best team right now that we can talk about. They are the example of fluidity has won them back-to-back Champions Leagues. Let's not necessarily having players fixated on one position. I would love Man United for me to see Kobe forward, someone 6. That player forward, Bruno 6. Dorgu's gone up. But it's all a bit of a... That would be the best sort of football I would want to see. Whether Carrick is adaptable to do that, whether Carrick can do that, has he got the tactical nous? I don't know. But United, especially under Michael Carrick as well, if you look at his 4-3-3 under Fergie, we're kind of fluid, with Carrick, Scholes, and whoever was there as well in front of them. You would have Rooney popping up on the left, Ronaldo. It was a very, very... That's why for me, the 2008 team will always be my favorite team. Always. I know people have got the class of 99, class of 94. There are other teams maybe that people like. But I always say for me, the best team that I watched was that 2008 team. Because it not only had quality, but you had players that could play anywhere, could pick up positions, so dynamic, so adventurous, so and I think that for me is a key one. So can United do that? And if that's a possibility, Charles, I'll start with you. Fluidity, common 6, which one are you in favour for?
I feel like it just comes down to different profiles in the squad, if I'm honest with you. But I do understand your point. United play with a pivot anyway, so it shouldn't be whoever's 6 or 8. It doesn't really matter. If you look at if you look at Manchester United this season and you looked at it on paper, everyone would tell you Casemiro was the 6 under Michael Carrick, and he wasn't. It was Kobe mainly. So I hear it. It doesn't really matter necessarily, but in terms of a squad, I'm just talking about in terms of our profiles, I would still like a destroyer in there because it offers you something different. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm all good for having multifunctional midfielders, but then I just feel like in certain games, especially in Europe when you go away, or the bigger games against Arsenal, City aways, Liverpool's away, you kind of want a destroyer in there sometimes just to put the fires out and then let the ball players play. So I think it's just about having a combination of both. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. I also think, Saeed, that 2008 team, and I agree, it is the greatest United team I've seen in my lifetime. I think it was phenomenal. The front three was fluid: Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez, right? But the midfield three, all of them contributed defensively. So whether it was Giggs playing further back, whether it was Scholes playing further back, whether it was Hargreaves, whether it was Carrick, they all did a role like in terms of they contributed more further back than a Bruno Fernandes would. So if you're going to play a Bruno further forward and you want to like let the reins off and go and do your thing and go and be creative, I think you need two stronger people back, because I don't think you're getting the contribution of all three like you were in that 2008 team. And like you said, football's changed. So I don't think it's as simple as like I said, Casemiro and Kobe wasn't enough. We got away with it from a term of results, but we also conceded a lot of chances. So we can't look at that as a model that works long term. I still think we need.
Is that not the profile of players though? Is that the reason why that didn't work? Is that not the profile of players? Because Casemiro just didn't have the pace anymore. You know, he didn't have the ability to cover the ground like he wants to.
Yeah. So if you've got like a Kobe, for example, I think you need like a Tchouaméni next to him. I don't think like a Fernandes next to him does the same job. I'm not sure a Tonali is quick enough over the ground to do that. I'm not sure. I'd have to see it. You don't know until you see it, right? But like, I think Tchouaméni or Elliot Anderson are the only two that potentially offer that. And I don't really see us getting Anderson, so that leaves Tchouaméni or bust for me.
Yeah. Can I go back to a point you made about De Jong and Casemiro? The reason why we were able to spend that 50 million on we were willing to spend that 50 million on Casemiro because he was proven. Like, we knew what we were getting there.
Yes,
he wasn't. We weren't spending 50 million saving money on a risk. We were spending 50 million on a player we knew would slot in. You know. So it's easy to say, oh, we can spend 50 million on players who are risks and are 50-50s. But I mean, if you only have to spend 50 million twice, get it wrong twice, to then have a almost guaranteed £100 million player, do you know what I mean? Who's coming in with a lot more expectation, and that's why I'm looking at it. And again, it's one of those where if you're making these marquee signings, you're spending this kind of money, then there is an expectation of the squad, of the team. Once you start saying, let's spend 50 million on these players, then it's, maybe it's next year, or next year will get better. And then it comes one of these things where this team's not ready now. And I hate that attitude. That's never been a winning attitude at any squad, any winning top tier Champions League winning team ever. You look at PSG, ruthless. We want to win now. We spend big money, we win now. You look at Real Madrid, same, right? They've not won the league. We're going to wipe it all. We want to win now. Not this, we'll buy these odd players here, 50 millions here, there, 30 millions here, there, and then we'll work on it. We've been caught in that for too long over the past 10 years. We're spending, don't get me wrong, we've made the marquee signings as well to supplement them, but a lot of the players, like your Freds, for instance, who are players who are maybe the risks, and for me it worries me, especially when we're in a position now where we go and sign someone like a Tchouaméni, who I think you agreed with. We go sign a Tchouaméni, we spend as much or give as much money as we need to go and get that player there, and we know what they're going to do for the squad. And that's
I'm not saying it's what I do, by the way. I'm just saying I think that's the way Ineos think. Like, it's not my personal choice. Like, I wouldn't do that. I would go out and get the proven player. Just on the last thing though, I don't think there's any such thing as an almost proven success at Manchester United. I think Varane has proved that. I think Sanchez has proved that. I think there's numerous players throughout history. Like, that club is massive. So I don't think there's such thing as Elliot Anderson is a fantastic player. There is no guarantee he works at Manchester United. There's just not. And if you've not experienced what it's like to play inside of Old Trafford or be inside of Old Trafford when things aren't going your way, it takes a massive character to do that. And you can't just look at a player and say they'll be able to cope. It doesn't work like that.
I agree. There's a super chat here from Just Waffling. Big up to you. Says, more time passes. I'm moving away from the idea of a marquee midfielder. We don't feel the ready. Need some competent midfielders and a first choice centre back so Carrick can prove he can coach a spine. It's a good question, that. It's a good super chat, that, because should United buy their marquee player next summer when they've just about sorted out their plan for this summer? Is that, I feel like there's a good conversation there, because we're always looking for that perfect player. Oh, United need that perfect signing. But we've actually shown in the last 2 years, we don't need perfect signings to get us to where we need to be. Okay, cool. Last year, Ruben Amorim tax, we finished 15th. We were awful. But when you look at it, though, United, Le Mans, is he marquee? Cunha, is he marquee? And Mbumo, is he marquee? Sesko, really and truly, I know it was still a big money, but it wasn't like a marquee signing, right? De Ligt, Mazraoui, Xerxes. Like United have almost bought players that have fit what we're trying to do, and that is making the squad better. When I say
who's the best United player you've seen in your lifetime?
Well, the guy behind me, Paul Scholes.
So in recent years, the guy that missed the penalty in Moscow, what's his name?
John Terry.
No, the United player that missed the penalty in Moscow, you muppet. Honestly,
Ronaldo.
Right, so Cristiano Ronaldo, right? Cristiano Ronaldo is arguably the best player I've seen at Man United in my lifetime, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't first choice. Ronaldinho was first choice. We refused to pay 25 million for Ronaldinho. Yeah. And we refused to pay that 25 million for Ronaldinho. And I was livid at the time, absolutely livid, going off my nut. Like, why haven't we signed this player? Is the answer to United? Like, he's the perfect player. We need to sign him. And then we signed this like little 18-year-old spoilt brat from Sporting Lisbon that came on in his debut against Bolton, did about 1 million stepovers. Like Fergie was going mad on the touchline, looked absolutely horrendous, and then turned out to be the best player in the world. Like, you don't always have to get the marquee signing. Sometimes the kid works out. Sometimes the youth prospect works out. But the thing is, like we said, there's no guarantees. So whether it's marquee or whether it's youth, it doesn't really matter. And I agree, Cantona's my favourite player. I was just saying the best player. Best is different to favourite.
Cantona won the lead, the league with Leeds, by the way. He was a marquee signing. Just, you know.
Cantona. But what would count as like, for me, that Anderson for that amount of money would class as marquee signing. Many would be classed as a marquee signing because it's the player of that stature and quality. Like, this is the thing though, like, United can go for that Tchouaméni because he's still attainable. You can still get marquee that are attainable. I think Tchouaméni right now, as it stands, we don't know yet until Mourinho comes in, shakes a few bolts, causes a bit of a stir. You know, maybe Valverde and him might have another fight. Who knows? Like,
I think he goes. I do. I think he goes.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
See, I don't know, man.
I don't think so.
I do. I think if it's Valverde or him, I think he goes with Mourinho, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Like I said, there are so many hidden gems. Look at people saying Sangari. Yeah, there is Kamara, Lamine Kamara. We obviously don't know where he's going as well, but there are hidden gems out there. The Baleba one's also an interesting one in that he's still around, but again, people have forgotten about him. Like, nobody's mentioning Baleba anymore. Whereas this time last year, we were all here talking about Baleba. It's funny how 1 year passes here, and all of a sudden, that can change your whole opinion on someone or something or whatever. Like, it's how football doesn't move quick, but it's also a bit mad to get carried away like that. Whereas we might think that Baleba isn't better than an Alex Scott, or Baleba isn't better than someone that just come up like Anderson. Like, you know what I mean? But form is temporary, class is permanent. We all know that. But it's whether you trust United to be like, you know what? Really and truly, is it worth it to spend that much money on him, though? Is it really worth it to spend that much money on a player that hasn't had a great year? Why should we be the ones that take that gamble and risk? It's that, again, risk versus idea of what it could become. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we have to do, right? It's that kind of like battle that. So
that's why we signed Burmo and Cunha. They had track records over the prior years. Do you know what I mean? They had that, you know. And again, for me, you can't take those risks. You know, as much as Mateus Fernandes has been okay over the last 2 years, some people say he's been outstanding this year and the year before. And don't get me wrong, I've watched him. I just don't see him making that big of a leap. Whereas you look at someone like a Tonali, and at Liverpool, you could say his career's almost stalled. You know, they're most likely Tonali at Newcastle. You could say his career's almost stalled because he's not had that, that drive or that closeness to push toward the Premier League. What are Newcastle really playing for there? So it comes to United, who knows what kind of levels he begins to reach again. You look at Tchouaméni, those are players to me. Even a Bruno Guimaraes, I'm looking at players there and I'm thinking, right, okay, they've got track records there. They look decent. So for me, I want someone who's a little bit more marquee, a little bit more proven. Because as much as we say United have done really well with a not so popular signing, the not so popular signings, not so well known signings. There's been plenty of Rio Ferdinands, plenty of Wayne Rooney's, do you know what I mean? Plenty of Cantonas, plenty of big signings that we made and have done really well. So Yeah, for me, I feel like we're in a state right now where it needs to be a little bit more marquee.
Yeah,
you know, just to get us to that level, because we're losing a big personality in Casemiro.
Yeah,
losing a massive personality. That dressing room, there's a big vacuum of like belief and confidence. Who knows? Mateus might come into United and feel a little bit overwhelmed and like, whoa, this club's massive. Most players come to United and go, wow, this is massive. Do you know what I mean? What have I got myself into here? Now that's a risk in itself. Whereas, you know, someone like a Tonali, a Tchouaméni, you know, they've been to a giant of a club in AC Milan. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I need someone who understands it. You look at Bruno Guimaraes, you know, he plays for Brazil. He understands the level and the magnitude of playing for such a big team. I want players that have got that proven track record, that understand, that know that you're talking about Baleba there. Baleba, we don't know what he'd be like. Again, another risk, not just on the football field, but again, mentally, you know, understanding psychology, what's going to go on with his mind when he comes to such a pressure cooker environment like Manchester United. Whereas it's almost you're taking two risks. You're taking one psychologically and you're taking one physically on the football field. Whereas you can guarantee one at least is going to be okay if you know the player's mind's right and they've been in that position before. They know how to deal with that situation. So then it minimises the risk for me, and that's why I prefer the more guaranteed marquee signings.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's more chance of pigs flying than us signing those 3 players from Newcastle, though, mate. Like, our history with Newcastle isn't great. Like, we're not getting Lewis Hall, Tonali, and Bruno G.
Listen, when they were Newcastle were flying, we got Andy Cole with him. We did a little bit of
I think that's exactly why we've done nothing with it. That's why we've done nothing with it since. Because we stole Cole off him,
Have we bought anyone since, by the way? It's been the last signing. Andy Cole.
I think so. Alan Smith went the other way, didn't he?
Yeah, Alanga kind of went around the houses to get there, but no.
Now, if we get Lewis Hall, mate.
Michael Owen. Oh, he was free, weren't he? He was free.
Yeah,
he went free.
He was a free. But like, it's gonna be difficult, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'd rather just get Lewis Hall, who the manager doesn't favour. You know, you have to have like beef with the manager and see yourself not really in favour of the plans for you to be leaving Newcastle right now, rather than fans' favourite kind of leaving like Tonali. You know what I'm trying to say? That would be
Bruno G's not going anywhere, is he? He's Mr. Newcastle. He's not going anywhere.
He's a captain, bro. He would never leave, bro. There'll be people outside his house saying, yo, you see when Rooney was leaving Man United? See the fans outside his house.
Yeah, but we need a bit of that drama again. Do you know what I mean? Remember getting Al Smith from Leeds and that, and you know that's the drama we're about.
Yeah, facts, bro. Are you crazy? Are you mad? It's mad in the dunya, man.
I'm not high on Tonali, though. I swear, I'm not high on Tonali. Fernandes is better on the ball. Fernandes is better on the ball than Tonali is. I promise you.
Yes. I'm with you, bro.
It's better. I think Tonali's a better controller. You see it in the Champions League. We see it when he's played in the Champions League. You see it in the bigger games with Tonali. Tonali, I think a problem for him is a similar situation we used to have with Nani. Nani used to always get up for big games and play well in big games, but it was the games against like Norwich and the games that people would complain and say he's not doing enough. I feel like that's Tonali. He's a player that kind of almost switches off in the games where he's not in the limelight. And I feel like he needs a bigger club. He needs a bigger spotlight for him to really bring the best out of him.
Yeah, I agree. Big up to honestly, Tonali. Yeah, I'm gonna just touch back on it now. But it's Imok saying there is so-called marquee signings Tchouaméni and Tonali are not better than Mateus Fernandes and Scott. By the way, hopefully Carrick goes for technical players over road runners. Wow. Now, I mean, I think Alex Scott is not a road runner, though. I think he's got good things about him, man. I really do.
No, I think he was calling Tchouaméni and Tonali.
Yeah, that he's calling the other ones road runners, and that's a bit harsh. Like Tchouaméni, I know he's not won a World Cup, but he's been a finalist. He's not a road runner,
Yeah.
Not at all. This is a road runner.
People just see a guy tall profile and just say he's a road runner because he's got great physicality. He's far from that.
Yeah, Tchouaméni, man, he can play, man. Tchouaméni. I shout out to Carnage Raid, by the way. Yo, shout out to you lot, man. Real Madrid fans. I don't know whether the election's been announced yet, but big up to you, man. They're a Real Madrid channel. But yeah, honestly, I think Tchouaméni for me is far from this idea of the player you're mentioning there. I think the only problem with Tchouaméni is that, like I said to you, it all depends on whether Mourinho wants to sell Tchouaméni or not. If Mourinho sells him, we get him. If Mourinho doesn't sell him, and doesn't look to sell him, and the club don't push him out like they do with Camavinga, then of course. But at the minute right now, I feel like you want to prove yourself under Mourinho. Even though Mourinho low-key is washed, in a sense, for me, but you want to prove yourself that can you do it under Mourinho? You know, it's almost like something on your CV. Who did you play for? Ancelotti. Who else did you play for? Jose Mourinho. Imagine that on your CV, guys. You won the Champions League with both? Both of them. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like he's got a point to prove there. But at the same time, like I said, man, he knows the history. He knows Man United. We didn't think Casemiro was available until late on the summer. Casemiro, bro, imagine someone telling you, Man United is signing Casemiro. I don't care what you say, yeah. That never, ever happened in my eyes. It would never happen. But look, what did he do? It happened. So bigger things can happen, but do I believe United should wait around for Tchouaméni? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like you can't. You don't know what's going on with Mourinho. You don't know how their situation will land. You don't know how their dynamics will be like. So it all depends on whether they have a massive falling out, which I don't see happening, bro. Personally, for me. So yeah, even Varane, to be fair. Remember Varane? Did anyone think we're getting Varane?
Nah.
Man, do you remember that summer? Like, do you remember that summer of Varane, Ronaldo, and Sancho? Like, we just finished. What, second under Ollie, and then we signed them three. I was like, we're winning the league. Like, we signed Ronaldo, Varane, and Sancho. Like, we're winning the league. Oh.
Do you know the Varane signing? I got PTSD about the Ramos thing. Do you remember Ramos was meant to come to Man United?
I was thinking
remember
Ramos,
that?
Bro, I just didn't believe it because Ramos kept using us for contracts.
Yeah, that's why I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it when Varane in the same situation. I thought he was going to use us for a contract, but he came.
Yeah, and he was in the suit on the pitch, didn't he? It was fucking nuts. It was mad.
Yeah.
Sick, man. Sick.
Yeah, proper slick.
You know what I mean? So I think for me, it's just like it's you know, yeah, that's we should have won the league, by the way, that year. I still maintain that United should have won the league that year in 2021. The aura, the class, the quality we had, it's mad, bro. I swear down. Like, we should have just been boom. You know what I mean? There and ready, but it never happened. It never happened. Yeah, Stiller, I don't know, man. Stiller, I don't know what's going on with Stiller, if I'm being honest with you. Is there any other names that we haven't mentioned about midfielders that we've got? I mean, the guys in the thumbnail are already there, explanatory. But the names where you don't think they're going to be coming, like, does anyone, have you got any left field shouts, Ash, that you believe that you've seen or heard of or think that United should?
What about James Garner? No chance.
No, he's signed a new deal.
Has he signed a new deal? I say.
Yeah. Sangari from these Sangari is one from Lons. Again, have Man United done their datas and whatnot and their whatever? Then it depends on whatnot. You feel me? So
no one's mentioned Coney coming into the squad either.
No. I don't see it happening, man.
I don't see it happening, man.
You don't see Coney coming in?
No, I don't see it. You know when you get up, Broski, we just signed that guy Ozoroko. And it doesn't look like he's going to be in the squad either. Like, it's weird. Like, Diego Leone. What's happened to him? You know what I mean? Like, it's a bit of a weird one. The signings that we brought in, apart from Aiden Heaven here, which youngster's done well? You know, it's just coming in. Not many, bro. From abroad.
Do you know what it is?
I think you're forgetting Euro's young as well. But like,
Euro is young. Yeah, Euro is young.
Big money in Euro, the way.
But we got to get our loan systems right though, because I think Kone's loan was a disaster as well. Like, do you know what I mean? So you're literally missing out a year of football, sending a child to a kid that's not gonna play, and he might the culture and stuff, but you can do that here. Just get him good loans. Let's get good loans. Do you know what I mean? Let's develop our
he struggled with injuries though, weren't he? In his first season with us, he had his eye socket injury, and then at Louisiana, he had the injury in his second game, and then pretty much missed most of their campaign. So it's just he struggled with injuries, and when you're getting injuries at that age, you know, never good, is it?
I think we fall into a problem sometimes in a gap at Man United of either overhyping our youngsters or under realising their potential. So like you look at like Fernandez and Harry Amas at left back, it's like we overrate one potentially in Harry Amas and think he's going to be the next big thing because of what happened to Fernandez. We underrated Fernandez, and the next thing you know, he's at Real Madrid tearing it up. And it's like we never seem to get that balance right.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, even players where they're like mid-level who do a job on the bench, like Andreas Pereira, who did a job for Fulham for a couple of years. You know, the quality there is clearly enough to be in the squad. You look at James Garner as well, who's now at Everton.
Jimmy Garner should 100% still be on the bench at United. 100%.
Yeah,
There's no way he should have gone.
That's criminal. The fact that he's not on the bench is criminal. Absolutely.
You should have been able to sell him. Like, you should have been able to sell him. Like, forget starting at Everton, like their relegation fodder. Like, you can work your way into the team at Man United. Like, there is a profile that suits you. You can work your way into the first team. Like, you're going to get minutes throughout the season. That, like, as a lad that's been here for a long time, you should have been able to sell that project to him easily.
Yeah, I agree, man. Why are you trying to rush these kids into development? You want to end up like Garnacho and Rashford? No, but if you're good enough,
wait, hold on. When did I say that? All I said was just make sure we give them a proper platform to perform and give them a right loan profile. What's the point of Sekou Kone going to Switzerland? You could have just sent him to France. Or just
rushing players. Hold on, no shell. Sorry, apologise for cutting you off there, mate. But no, we have rushed players into squads in the past. You look at the class of '92. Okay, yeah, they were once they got in there, we then started to stagger their game time. But you look at Ajax. You look at Bayern Munich. You look at Barcelona more recently. Kabassi, Pedri, Gavi, Lamine Yamal. Do you know what I mean? Players that. Okay, they've thrown them in the deep end. They weren't too sure they were good enough. They thought they were good enough, and they thought, there you go, here's a deep end. See if you can swim. And I feel like we've not done that enough over the last couple of years with United.
Well, if you're coming in with Alistair and Bruce and people like that, they're different than Brian Robson.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's why
it's different than coming in with Kobbie Mainoo and someone. You know what I mean? It's different.
But I mean, you say that, but you say that, but. You look at Barcelona again with Lamine Yamal, with Kabassi, what I said, Pedri, Gavi there. The players around them, they weren't too good. They were almost being trusted.
Well, they've all played together. Spain under 21s, which have had success. Like they've played together for
they all played together. They all played together. That's the good thing about them.
But what I'm saying is, with the under 18s we've got now, you look at Thwaites, you look at Lacey, you look at Kokonki, you look at the players we've got now. Those players have played together for a little while. They've gone and done magical things at the under 18 level, winning, with by far better than any team close to him. So I feel like there's players there that we can utilise and we should do more often. I would have liked to see Carrick use a little bit more youth players. Like, why have we not seen Lacey over the last
Yeah, but look at Fletcher coming on against Liverpool in that little cameo. And
listen,
so like you can't say it's going to work. You know what I mean?
That's nepotism. That's nepotism.
You know what I realise here? You know what I realise, guys? The Man City players are levels above in terms of physicality. Our players here, don't get me wrong, I think Thwaites is technically very, very good, but some of our players are just very tiny. And I feel like you need them strong physical attributes. And as much as it is, it's a technical game, it's also a physical game. And
it's all power. It's all power side. Like you go to the academies now, they play 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and it's all about creating athletes. Like the days of Letizia is not going to make it in the Premier League nowadays. Players like that are big and gone. Like they're not they wouldn't even get in a team nowadays. As sad as it is to see, they wouldn't get in a team nowadays. You need to be an athlete. Like you need to be powerful. You need to be fit. You need to have an engine. Like that's what they're working on in these academies. They're working on building specimens of players. They're playing small games, covering big amount of spaces. They're not working on little one-touch passes and cute little rondos and stuff.
No, that's a Premier League problem. No, that's not Europe problem. You look at PSG. Again, an example, you look at the Barca's, they do that, and they've entrusted that, and they perform well doing that.
Yeah.
That seems to be another problem, a Premier League problem.
It's mad. Like I said to you, for me, I think Jim Thwaites could be that fifth midfielder / Shakes we could use for Carabao Cups and that. I think he's ready out the free. You feel me?
Big shout, man.
But then again, I thought Dango was ready. Remember Dango? I thought he was there.
Yeah, I like Dango.
You know what I mean? But look at him, just didn't really settle well and just didn't really go into Doncaster, apparently injuries and whatnot, and just
Kobbie was ready.
Yeah, Kobbie was ready.
Yeah, James Wilson wasn't. You can go back. There's players that were, players that weren't, right? Like
you know what? Just to mention, although if anyone remembers him, Fabian Brandy and John Coffey, those two in the academy. I thought those two. Do you know what I mean? Fabian Brandy scored record goals in the academy, hundreds of goals. I mean, even one. What's the kid who was in the Man City one? And for us, was it not McLeod?
No, it was the
Charlie McNeil.
Charlie McNeil.
Yeah. So we've had them. It's just you got to keep rinsing through them, haven't you?
Hard put in the squad Ethan Wheatley.
Yeah. I don't think he was any good anyway. Youth level.
Remember under Van Gaal when we had like Borthwick, Jackson, and Varela and everyone playing, and Tyler Blackett.
Yeah.
In the I
like that though. I appreciate
Van Gaal
that.
was a madman, you know. He was actually a madman, Van Gaal.
Yeah. You know what? It's scary to think, you're so close to the first team, but you're not so close at all. Like, it's scary to the difference in jump. Like, I think Kukonki could be the one to step up as well. He's a physical unit. Like, he was the best player for me in the academy game that we played in the final. You know what I mean? Cheeto, I can't lie to you. For me, I think he needs a loan. I know a lot of people are giving up on Cheeto. I don't think I've given up yet, but he needs a loan to get him back in the squad. I really do. But yeah, bro, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, to get into this United team, it can't also be something that we just give easy. Don't get me wrong, we've got a tradition, we've got an academy, we pride ourselves in the academy, but it also can't be the expense of just allowing people just to go in the squad because, you know what, our academy says so. You know what I mean? Like, it should be, you've earned it. It's on merit rather than just gifting academy players the opportunity to come in. Because right now, we need to be focused and we need to be ready. You feel me?
You know as well as me, Saeed, that being at the games is different than watching it on TV. We should try and get down to Lee Sports Village next season for a few games because you'll realise the difference in the academy games and the men's get. Like, it's so different. The physicality, like the tempo of the game, it's completely different. So these players look all nice and technically okay and stuff. You see them in person and think they're not lasting a Premier League game. There's loads of players like that.
Yeah. What do you think, Ash, in terms of like having this mindset that we need to buy players to go win now, or do you still want to be? You think Carrick will have that tradition of academy, the way the football club is run, how it is? Like, have we just got to be this ruthless football club now, where we just keep it 100 and say, yo, if you're not ready, you're not ready, man. Simple as that. We're moving on now.
Saeed, how many times have I said to you on this show? It's what have you done for me lately? It's like it's the Eddie Murphy thing. You know what I mean? You've got to win now. You look at Barcelona, you look at Bayern, you look at Real Madrid, you look at Chelsea under the Abramovich era. The moment you weren't performing and you weren't doing well, you were out. It sets a level of accountability within the club to say, look, you've got to perform and you've got to perform now. We're not waiting 2-3 years for you to perform. What I like about Ineos is it looks like we're getting rid of Xerxes, we're getting rid of Agati. They've had 2 years to show themselves, and no, it's not good enough. Right, you're gone. And I like that. I want to see more of that. I don't want to wait 3-4 years for players to develop. I don't want that. I don't want to rely too much on players where we're waiting next year because you end up always waiting. Like what we're waiting for. Again, I've said it. The most successful blueprint in European football is that win now mentality. The same with managers. I've always been ruthless with the managers. You've known that. I wanted Amrin out really early because I didn't think he was good enough. I didn't think he was close to good enough. Same with Ten Hag, same with Ole, same with the rest of them. Because you look around Europe and it's ruthless mentalities. That's what's kept Bayern at the top. That's what's kept Real Madrid and Barcelona. Okay, or you might say, the leagues and the way the leagues are set up. But you look at Man City, I'll point to Abramovich's Chelsea. Under Abramovich, they were the most successful club in the Premier League because he set a level. And that was the same with the players. The moment you weren't good enough, you're out. We buy another player, we buy a next player. And I feel like that's the mentality we need to adopt at Manchester United. We're not a nursery where we're hoping things grow and hoping things turn out well for these players. We're arguably the biggest club in the world. I like to say the biggest club in the world because I'm a United fan. That's what always been my experience in my life. Do you know what I mean? As much as you can talk about Real Madrid and all that. I'm United for me is the biggest in the world, and to be that, you've got to maintain it, and to maintain it, you've got to have the best, and to have the best, that means getting the best players, like we've always done, like we did it under Sir Alex Ferguson, and like we should be doing right now. And the best out there right now that's almost available is Tchouaméni. Like you lean onto the fact that Valverde and they've had that big falling out, and I go back to it again. I don't want this like next season, the season after, because it gets you in a dangerous position where you're waiting 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and then 8 years becomes 10, 10 becomes 15, and then we're sat here and we're 20, 30 years away from a league title. It's dangerous.
Bro. This is what I'm saying. You can't allow that to happen. These lot are. I said it. Man United need to win the league in 3 years' time, at least within the next 3 years. You know, whether it's next year, whether it's this year. Obviously, this year I'm going to be very, very careful because it's apparently can't play 2 games a week. Can't play that. It's crazy, but we'll dismiss that myth. I reckon by next season, gonna be challenging. Season after that, you gotta be winning it. Feel me? Like I'm gonna give this season to compete, see how you are with the rest of them. Next season, challenge. The year after that, have to win it. You feel me? Omar Barada said 2028. Whether people believe that or not, it's up to you. It does seem like it might get to that time. You know what I mean? He might be a genius, and people might have to start putting apologies out there. But we'll wait until that is confirmed or not. But as it stands right now, you know, I think for me, if you get the thing is right, every year our transfers are getting better. Like people will. I've got a lot to say about Ineos. I've got a lot to say about Ineos about the treatment of the fans, the way that they talk about United. Sometimes they're almost kind of their lack of, I don't know, man, like morality sometimes in a sense of what they view Man United as. But in terms of recruitment, I've not got a lot of things bad to say about them. Let's be honest. They have done very, very well in that aspect over the last 3 years at Man United. But I feel like this summer just feels a little bit different though. This is a summer where it's almost like you've got to now bridge the gap between yourselves and whoever's behind you. Chelsea, Liverpool, can you bridge a gap now? Like, I'll be real. Like, I don't want to disrespect teams right now, yeah, but I don't want to be looking over my shoulders to Liverpool. I don't want to be looking over shoulders to Chelsea. I want to know there's a gap there that we've gone past them. Like, we're not just going to be catching up or getting caught up in a top 4 battle again. I'm tired of these top 4 battles. That doesn't mean anything, really. Okay, cool, we get a Champions League. It means good for the board because they get money. But really and truly, I want to know that where we're close to the top, then do you see a vision? Do we all see something? You get me? Like, you're looking down the end of the tunnel. Can you see the light there? You know, and then you win a trophy as well. Don't get me wrong. We're not just going to be there for the sake of being there. But, like, I'd rather have that and know that there's a gap there. But if Ineos get it right this summer and get the 6 signings that we want to, I think for me it could be a special season. With or without Carrick. I know people don't like Carrick, but I think it could be a special season. Whether that happens or not, it all depends on Ineos, right? Or what they do.
Yeah, but you know, when you talk about bridging the gap, we have bridged the gap. Do you know what I'm saying? We finished 15th last season.
We've got to cement the gap, though, aren't we? We've got to make sure.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. But you know, on that point, as much as I feel like sports is about windows, correct? This is Arsenal's window right now. There's no outstanding team apart from, let's say, Arsenal, and even then they have their flaws as well, right? But with that being said, we're not the only team that's going to strengthen. Do you get what I mean? So Liverpool are going to strengthen. They're not going to be that bad again. I don't know what happened to Slot in that second season, but they were terrible. Liverpool was terrible. Chelsea, they hired Liam Rossini mid summer. I don't know what they was doing. Mid-season, sorry. They were terrible. They're going to improve. Do you know what I'm saying? And I get it. You got to look at yourself, but I'm in agreement with you. I feel like we need to cement our. Remember, I said to you last stream, we can't do the yo-yo thing no more. We went from second to 8th to 15th to 3rd. We need to cement ourselves. Like, Champions League should be normality. This is Man United, 100%. But I agree, we need to bridge the gap, but we also need to take in consideration that we're not going to be the only team that's strengthening as well.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I think Liverpool have just got instantly better with the hiring of Areola, right? So they've almost spent like 200 million. Like that's the impact that he's going to have on their team. I actually think on the cementing thing, I think next season arguably is the clearest in my mind that the top 4 has been in some time, and it's going to be United, City, Arsenal and Liverpool in some order. I don't think any other teams in the Premier League are close. I don't think Villa are close. I don't think Chelsea are close. I don't think Spurs are close. I don't think anyone else is close. I think it's those 4 that are going to kick on, and they'll create a gap, and there'll be a 8, 9, 10 point gap to whoever is the chasing group behind. I genuinely think United have to kick on with signings. Obviously, it depends on who they sign. I think City, I actually think Pep's left them in a decent place. Their squad, they've got plenty of good players. Maresca could go in and get a relatively easy job there, and they could end up walking the league. Arsenal are obviously in a good place, and and Liverpool have made a very good managerial appointment, and you can't expect them to be as bad. Like you said, again, they're definitely going to improve. So I think those 4 teams are better than the rest of the league. I'm sure it'll get clipped up when we finish 12th or whatever, but I genuinely think those 4 teams are miles better than the others.
No, we're past that. We're
Don't
past
put that in
that.
the air,
Please.
Jim.
I said we're going to win the league. I'm not putting anything in the air. I said we're winning the league next season. Don't come at me with negativity.
I swear down, bro. Anything below 8th now, I'm just, not even 7th.
Don't even talk about it. Let's not talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Let's not.
Football, bro. Like, what are we doing?
Bro, 3rd, man.
Saeed's just talked about, like, cementing the gap and like going in and thinking this, and then he drops the 8th bomb out there. What are you talking about?
You know what it is? It just makes me realize how sick were we? Like, not we, as in us, that people accepted that. Like, it's mad. Like,
it's the process, hammer him. You give him time. Do you know what I mean?
Bro,
you just got to go and enjoy it, Saeed. Remember, in the car park, you just got to go and enjoy the football. Just enjoy what you're watching, mate. Like, what you're moaning, just enjoy it. Just enjoy, just relax and enjoy it. Have a good time.
Like we lost the European final to Spurs. They sacked their manager. We kept ours. Like we was losing. We couldn't win 2 games in a row, and it was acceptable because the brother was good looking. It was crazy. Like I've never seen anything like
12 months. It's mad. Couldn't win 2 in a row. That guy, honestly, that guy came close to a haircut like 6 times under Carrick. Didn't get even a hint. Didn't get within a mile of a barbershop under Amorim.
It's mad.
Played a back 5 at home against Everton. Do you know what I mean? With 10 men. That was
madness. 10 men.
That's
You didn't change it. And lads. Not only that, we won against Newcastle with a 4 at the back. The very next game, he went 3 at the back. I've never seen anything like it at the highest level. I couldn't believe it. Genuine.
Well, it's mad. It's mad.
He's still got supporters, you know.
Yeah, I think it's gone now. I can't lie to you. I think they're gone. Like,
was there any game when he made a sub that wasn't a centre back after about 60 minutes? Like first change of the match, win, lose, draw. Oh, Maguire off, Lenny Yoro on. Cheers. And I'm like, what?
I think Carrick getting top 3 secured that whole thing now. I think they're gone. You know when you just get rid of something and you know it's gone in your gaff, it's gone. It's done. You don't hear about it. You don't smell it. You just know.
You got the right bleach. You got rid of the smell. You got the right one. The right.
Yeah. That's it, bro. I'm telling you right now, man. Inbox says, I don't get the Tonali hype. The guy was dog walked by Pedro and Firmino in the UCL away game and held 7 goals. Imagine if thinking Tonali can control games. That's not his best asset. That's why I think for me, United have got to make sure that they look at that signing very carefully, because I don't think they can go and get both of them, you know what I mean, in terms of Tchouaméni and whatnot. Yeah, big up to you, Charles, man. Appreciate coming on, bro. Always love,
up, man. Take care, everyone, man.
Always love, bro. Always love.
Up, enjoy, man.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know in that one there, but I think for me, the price tag, it's not worth it for me, personally, anyway. Barry Haynes says, Iraola is a big risk, in my opinion. Liverpool were outran by teams in 90% of the games last season, and it's number one thing of his system, which means they don't have the squad to play his level brand of football. Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like, for me, we'll find out whether, when I look at it, whether United, it'll almost be like one of them ones where I trust Carrick in it, but there will be this conversation where if Iraola does well, why didn't we get him? I don't think Man United can afford to do that. The level of toxicity that will bring to Man United will be so bad. So what happens over there? He hasn't managed a big club before. He hasn't managed egos before. He hasn't played more 2 to 3 games a week. So all the conversations that Carrick has got, or all the question about Carrick has got, I think the same conversation can be told towards Iraola. So
did you hear what Semenyo said about him?
Yeah, you got to run. Yeah, you got to run.
Yeah, 7 days a week. They were training 7 days a week. Imagine doing that at Liverpool. Like, I can't see that working with them players.
Yeah. So, like I said, there's conversations for everyone, man. I just don't think it's only Man United right now. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think for me, you know what it is about next season? Like, I think United buying midfielders could be the biggest kind of upturning results that I can see ever before, because imagine knowing you've got an ability to go and dominate games now. I don't think Man United have dominated that many games in the last 3 to 4 years, maybe since Van Gaal, I don't think I've gone into a game knowing that Man United are going to dominate midfield, dominate possession for a long time. United have got the opportunity now to make sure that they become that team. Arsenal will try and sit back and do the low block. Liverpool will try and press you high at the pitch. Chelsea, I'm not sure what they're about under Alonso. Will he possession-based? Will he be high energy? Then you've got Man City under Maresca. If they keep Rodri and a couple of other players in there, they could do something. But I do believe, United, having that ability to hold possession and keep possession, do you think it's something that's admirable, Ash? Or do you think it's possession for possession's sake is not it anyway? Like, where do you see that? Because I'm not going to lie to you, sitting back behind the ball and almost just like waiting on a counter-attack, I like it, but not every time, though. I do want to be able to find that element of, are we going to keep the ball? Are we going to love that? Like, I think that's Carrick's next step. I think for me, everyone's going to watch. But I have to almost put that pressure on when I see the players come through the door. I can't demand that when you've got Casemiro, Manu, and Bruno every week. We can't change it around. But where do you think about that, bro?
I think I only look back. I love my football history, and you look at the majority of the dominant teams, the best teams that we've ever really seen. They've always dominated possession. They've always not necessarily dominated possession to the likes of what Pep's done, where it's like 70-80%, but at least a minimum 55-65%. Do you know what I mean? And I want to see us in more control of the game. I hate these teams that, you look at Arsenal, in the Champions League final. Okay, they'd have won the Champions League final. They'd have been buzzing with it. But sustainable over 3, 4, 5 years. That's why Atletico Madrid under Diego Simeone early on, never really hit, got to where they could have had they have played a little bit more, possession, a little bit more control in games. Because when you've got control, it's just that you've got control, And United have generally had control of games historically when we've gone and won things. We've not been a team that sat back or a team that's let other teams play against us. So for me, that's Michael Carrick, and I think Michael Carrick likes to do that. I think you saw that with his Middlesbrough teams. They were a very possession-heavy team, and himself, enjoyed possession at Man United, throughout his career. So I think that's where he does want to get to, and I feel confident he will get there. It's just getting the numbers in the midfield. I mean, again, I go back to what we were talking about earlier about the right signings and the amount of signings we might make in the midfield. I'd much prefer the correct, marquee profiles, the better players. Because how many times in the forward line did we buy players like Xerxes or Højlund or Anthony or Dan James or Sancho or these players that were almost there, never actually proving it. Xerxes never proved it. Højlund never did. Anthony never did. Sancho never really did. You look at Dan James, never really did. These were players who all had potential in that attack. The moment we bought players who had proven it in those positions, Cunha and Burmo, look where we are. You know what I mean? So I want to see players in the midfield that have proven it, that have shown it, and I feel like if Michael Carrick gets those profiles, gets those players, then of course he's got every opportunity to go and play and control and dominate games. And I think I trust in his system. I like the way we play. When we play good football, when you see it start to click. So I'd like to see us have a lot more possession. I think that's the next step, really, isn't it?
Yeah. What are you saying? Do you like that, James? Would you want to have that possession-based football? Do you think Old Trafford crowd like possession-based football? Be honest, though. Like, they don't
side. What's possession-based? What we talk, because possession, if you're talking like Van Gaal, Pep, then I don't think we like that because it's too boring. We want to get the ball forward.
I agree. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, I think generally from the question, that's the point I was going to bring up. The United crowd kind of have to temper their expectations a little bit because the last possession-based coach we had was Louis Van Gaal, and if you were at Old Trafford in that season, it was very, very toxic, the atmosphere. It was really weird. Like, it was 0-0 at halftime of like 15 of the 18 or 19 home games that season. It was very, very strange. And early days under Pep was similar at City as well. I've got a lot of mates that are City fans that were very unhappy at games and they got really, really bored because it is a lot of side to side. Like, people get on at at Maguire. I know Ash said he doesn't like Maguire, and he does a lot of side-to-side passing and then waits for a chance and then plays a diagonal, and then people get annoyed when he plays that ball. But he's actually really good at recycling possession along the back line, which is why Pep wanted him in the first place, because he would suit that system really, really well. I think a lot of the fan base, like, they don't like Ollie as a manager, but they were probably most excited by the football under Ollie, because you had people like Dan James and Rashford and people racing on the counter-attack and scoring last minute, McTominay goals from 35 yards, beating City 2-0. Like, it was more exciting in those times. So you've got to think, what is possession-based football? I think in United's mind, they think it's a Jurgen Klopp style quick transition with possession team, or a PSG thing where they're on the front foot more and they recycle possession quickly, rather than a Pep or a Van Gaal style. So, like, we could end up in a situation next season where we have 65, 70% possession in games, and fans may not like the style of play. That could very well happen. And the thing with the Old Trafford crowd, when you're in it, is you realise that when we hold on to the ball for a long time, there are screams of attack. There are jeers when people pass round, and it's horrible. And then players get forced into decisions that they wouldn't normally make, that they've not been coached to make. They then make a mistake, and then that then affects the players, and moods drop and heads drop and that kind of stuff. And it's funny how the crowd can affect a game, and we have to go into it and understand that, well, if Carrick wants to play this way, that's what we have to get behind. And we have to, like, let the players do that, because we had it, like, for ages. Remember, Anana was encouraged to kick out from the back and play out from the back. And then occasionally he'd make mistakes, and then the fans would get on him to, like, kick it long. And it's like, but that's not what you bought him for. He's been coached to do one thing, and the crowd are getting on him to do another. And it's just like the crowd have got to align themselves with what Carrick's view is for the team. And I think us as a fan base are generally quite confused with that. As Ash has just pointed out, he said, what do you mean by possession-based? Do you mean the Pep and the Van Gaal style, or do you mean a different style? And we need to unite as a fan base, which we never really do very well. And we need to kind of understand what the vision is from Carrick.
Yeah, it's difficult, man. I think for me personally, I just want to see a team that we can still see from our football club, that we can dominate a few games and whatnot. Like,
what does dominate look like, Saeed? Like, what do you think dominating a football? Is it more chances, more shots, or is it more possession? What is it?
Dominate would be like we have the incentive to do what we want to do. We don't dictate. We're not dictated by the opposition.
Okay,
we dictate. But then again, you have to have a squad and a level of a team that can also do that. You can't expect the same players to do that as well. So I think that would be the ultimate goal. But still, the aim is to win, though. I always keep mentioning that to people. The aim is to win, but is there an evolution to Carrick's style? Could there be something where United go into? That's why I never put pressure on him. Last season, I kept maintaining my stance, win football matches, get this habit of winning football matches. Once we do that, then of course, next season you want to see a few things. Because you know what it's going to be like. Fans get disgruntled, they get bored, they don't like it anymore, and I get it. That's why I'm saying, if we do get the players in, will there be just another step for Man United? I think Carrick is capable of doing it. I think there's a lot of people who are dismissing Carrick's ability to transform United into something else next season. Like, what if this is just a start? What if it gets better? I think there's so much negativity towards, could it go bad? What about if it gets better? Like, why don't people give it that thought of, well, it might not be Ollie. Ollie's style wasn't suited to have longevity. What if Carrick has a different level of understanding of football? What if Carrick just has an understanding of, you know what, man? This is what I want for next season. This is what I want for Man United. Like, I think people are rushing into this idea of, like, it will be the same and we will come back here and all of a sudden we're going to be this boring team and we're not going to be great. Like, we're not. Every player that speaks about Michael Carrick, and I get it, they're going to speak confidently, but they almost say every time is that he allows the players to play the way they want to play. They're not kind of almost handicapped. They're not playing the way where they feel under pressure. They're playing with a freedom, expression. That's what you want, guys. You want that?
I think there's two different things though. So there's the first thing you described, which is kind of like Pep was at the start of City, where it was like, we're going to play our way and you can adjust to the way we play. And that's what Pep did at the start. That's why Leicester seemed to beat them all the time, right? Because Jamie Vardy just sat on the halfway line. Leicester played the long ball over the top. Vardy chased onto it and they beat them several times, right? But what I see more in Carrick is I see the person he's been managed by, which is Sir Alex, and he's the greatest manager I've ever seen in my lifetime and probably ever. And he's very pragmatic, right? So there are games when he played Park Ji-sung and he put him on Pirlo, or he played like someone like, who was it that he said, oh, if Eden Hazard goes to the toilet, you follow him. Like he's literally, he's put people on. Yeah, he's put people on like players, and he's changed the way he's played because he's more pragmatic as a coach. Football is about winning. Sport is about winning, right? And it's about finding the way to win. I think it's very naive to just think you can go out and dominate every game. Like, for example, we don't want to do what Arsenal did in the Champions League final this season. But Arteta genuinely believed, and this is what I'm going to give him credit for, he genuinely believed that was Arsenal's best chance of winning. And in fairness, apart from a horrendous decision from Mosquera, he executed his game plan pretty perfectly.
Yeah.
Like you can hate on him as much as you want, but if you said to Arteta the day before that final, dream about how this goes, that PSG have no shots on target in open play, that Arsenal take the lead after 6 minutes, and they're a daft penalty decision away from winning the Champions League against the best team in the world that are trying to repeat, he'd snap your hand off. So, like, I actually think he was pragmatic as a coach, and I actually think he looked at that game and thought that was their best chance of winning that game. And I think Ferguson would have managed it exactly the same way. We beat Bayern Munich. We were the second best team in that game by a mile in 99. We got battered over 2 legs by Barcelona in 2008, and Paul Scholes scored a wonder goal from 35 yards. Like, sometimes you've got to appreciate that you are not the best team and you can't play your plan A. So you then have to go to a plan B and find a way to win football matches. Jose Mourinho was an expert at it. Sir Alex Ferguson was an expert at it. Arteta has got better at it. So I don't think you can just say go and dominate games anymore. And like every single game in the Premier League is its own challenge. I don't think you can just say go and play our way.
Yeah,
I think that's you know, that's for granted though. I mean, against the bigger or the better teams or the more difficult teams, you naturally will play that way. Our problem over recent years is when you've got like Bournemouth coming and playing better than us, and you know you're playing that way against Fulham, and you're playing against I think that's been our problem over recent years. So that's where we need to see a lot more dominance. You know, Everton again.
Ash, do you not feel like though these teams haven't got much to lose though? Like, if they get battered 3-0, do you think Bournemouth are screaming out Iraola out? Like, where's the Man United? You lose 3-0. I'm sorry, but are you playing the right football? You can't get away with that. You can't. Like, you can do it for the odd games here and there, but I'm sorry, no Old Trafford crowd is getting away with having that right there. I don't know.
I agree with what you're saying, but we can't be that side, because at the end of the day, you know, our football club was built on entertainment. Do you know what I mean? That's why we became as popular as did, because we're in the entertainment business. You know, we're there to entertain fans. We've always done it. We've been attack under Sir Alex Ferguson in the games where you'd expect us to win. You can't play for like Chelsea did under Mourinho, or Arsenal do from time to time with Arteta. You can't go in these games where they're 50-50 or you're slight favourites and you're sitting back and you're hoping to grab a win. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be a little believe in yourself and a little bit more, and that's what Sir Alex Ferguson used to do. You know, okay, we're nowhere near that anymore, but you look throwing 4 strikers on. You know what I mean? You know that was something he was famous for. You know, you look at Amorim, like James said earlier about, you know, swapping out centre backs. That's not us. I mean, okay, it's pragmatic, and okay, we might nick a goal, stick Maguire up top and all that. Yeah, we might, you know, nick a goal that way. But for us, it's always been that hope, that belief, that desire, you know, that relentlessness in our attack. And I feel like that's what we need. And we was talking about possession a moment ago. I think it's more than possession. It's control. We need control of games.
Control, yeah.
Because as much as you can have, you know, a lot of possession, it can be at the back. You know, like we saw on the Van Gaal. You know, it's at the back. And how much control have you really got over a game there? Because, you know, the moment we lost the ball, you know, teams were scoring against us. So, you know, under Michael Carrick, yeah, okay, we want a little bit more possession, but the control, you'd be okay with passing a little bit more passing phases of play if it was in, on the halfway line.
Evolved as well, Ash. The game, sorry to cut you off, the game has evolved. Look at PSG. Would you argue that PSG had possession, or did they have possession with intent as well? They have possession with intent.
Yeah, possession with intent.
Yeah,
but because they've got control of the game, I think it's about control again. If you control the game, you press high, you quick pass it, these quick turnovers, constant, similar to what Klopp did, and similar really to what Alex was like. It's a case of winning the ball back early, so then you get the opportunity to create more attacks. That sitting back and waiting for opponent and allowing the opponent the ball, they naturally will recycle it a little bit more because. If say a Bournemouth or a Watford or Fulham, whoever come to United, and we allow them the space and the time, they're going to have more possession because they're going to take longer to build up that attack. Whereas we go and press them and we harass them a little bit more, we win the ball back, and then naturally that will help with our possession. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's one of those. For me, it's control, and Carrick seems to want control, and. I'm confident that next season with the right players. The problem for him this season really was the legs of Casemiro. We could never really control the midfield, which was a problem. And same with Maguire, which is why I've never been a big fan of Maguire, because he can't play a high line. He constantly likes to sit deep. We sit there all the time. I sit right in the angle in the south stand where I see Maguire, in the first half. I sit there and I watch his line, and I see when another team picks up that ball, I see him instantly drop back. You know what I mean? And it pisses me off every time. And naturally what players do is they follow. Whereas if you've got a player going push, you got a Rio Ferdinand or one of the best at it, Sergio Ramos, who are saying, hold, push up tight. It creates problems and it creates nerves. And if there's a ball in behind and you've got the pace behind, to track and cover with either your full-backs or your centre-backs, then it's not a problem. So for me, it's a personnel issue. And I feel like once we sort out the centre-backs and the midfield, then he'll more than likely, like he did at Middlesbrough, go and press on the front foot.
Can I ask what the obsession with the high line is? Because it seems to be mad over social media. So I just want to know, if you think it's possible, because I know who started it, but I just want to know why the obsession is there with a high line, and people believe that you can't win football matches without it.
No, it depends what you mean by a high line, though. There's like a high line which is on the halfway line, like Unai Emery will like to do, or like Pochettino from time to time like to do. That was like a high line. Do you know what I mean? That was an extreme high line. But I'm talking about more of a mid to mid center high line, not something where you're constantly dropping back and creating a low block, which kind of it kind of sets you into that trap of falling and sitting deep a little bit too much, which then it creates space in the midfield, which how many times have we seen over the last couple of years?
It only creates space in the midfield when you've got Casemiro and Mainu who haven't got legs. I don't see the low block hasn't been a problem for decades. And it's not a problem now. It's only considered, people are labeling this shit as low block and high line and all this shit. Football is a fluid game played over 90 minutes, right? The low block is only a problem because Casemiro and Mainu don't have the legs to fill that void, right? So you want players higher up so they have less space to cover. But basically, you're asking your less athletic defenders to cover more space than your midfielders. So
but you don't want the field to be stretched, though. You don't want a stretched field. You want to keep the
But you want your defence to be stretched. Why? If your skill set is in midfield, you want your midfield to be stretched. You've got to play to the strengths of your team. You can't say, if you had Varane and someone else, you would want your defence to be stretched. If you had Chouameni and someone else, you'd want your midfield to be stretched.
Do you mean horizontally or do you mean vertically?
Vertically, you're fine to be stretched if you've got the people, if you've got the facility to be covering it. You don't need your midfield. You don't need to throw a blanket over three midfielders.
But you don't see that with the top teams. You don't the space. You have to be compact. You have to be a compact team.
I agree with it, but then then they got found out against PSG. You only get found out at the highest level. You're playing the teams 90% of the time will be the ones in and around where we are or worse than us. You could get away with it. I'm not allowed to. I would love to see the idea of having a game stretched because then we could just kill teams off. If Carrick couldn't do that last year, I get you because of Casemiro, Mainu and Maguire behind him. Next season, if there is no Casemiro, Maguire then becomes backup. You then buy a centre-back alongside Heaven. You then bring Alex Scott, Mateus Fernandes, and Bruno. I think you could go and do this toe-to-toe with a lot of teams and say, you know what? Let's have it then. You want to play back and forth? basketball.
Yeah, if you've got the personnel side, then that's fine. You can stretch it. But honestly, how many times have we seen over the last couple of years us being stretched?
He can read the game well, Maguire. But I think for me, it's
not the legs.
If Carrick is brave enough, he will drop Maguire and he'll become like a option off the bench. Maguire right now is just the best out of what we got right now, because obviously right now he is the best of what we got. Let's be honest.
That's only with the Casemiro, mate. Like that's only with last year's midfield. I don't agree with that at all. You're acting like football's going to be played.
You're saying is what you're saying, James. There is that Maguire can play in space with space around him. Maguire's good playing stretched.
I'm saying your defense. I'm saying your defense doesn't have to be like you've got two things, right? So let's say you've got your attackers at this end of the pitch. The rest of the pitch is going to be divided up into midfield and defense, right? If you've got Lenny Yoro and Aidan Heaven, who are both really athletic, what is the difference between asking them to cover space compared to two midfielders that are athletic and asking them to cover space? There's no difference. You are asking people to cover space. If your players that are the best players need to cover less space. No, so if Maguire and that aren't that mobile, then get them to cover less space and get them to play further back. If Casemiro and Mainu aren't as mobile, get them to cover less space and get your defenders who are more mobile to cover the space. You play to the strengths of your players. You don't say defense, you have to sit there. Midfield, you have to sit there. It's like, who's got the athleticism to play in the certain positions?
But if
you're acting like football is just this, you have to play this way, and it's not. It's
no. I don't think that there's many different ways you can play football. But you look like a Maguire. If Maguire drops deep and he's stretching the play, then what happens is if you've got a left attacker or right sided attacker, he keeps them on side. So balls can be played into channel really easily, which has been happening to us for the past 5-6 years. That's the problem when you stretch the play like that. You need if you've got pacey centre backs, then you can do that. That's fine. But with the profiles like Maguire, you can't do that. You can't play like that.
Then the midfielders cover more space, and then the midfielders drop back.
Yeah, but what happens to the midfielders then? If the midfielders are covering that space, then you leave massive gaps in the midfield. And that's the problem. You're constantly leaving gaps everywhere.
You're going to leave a gap somewhere unless you think football is going to be played on a 40-yard pitch instead of a 110-yard pitch. There's going to be gaps. You get 11 players and they've got to spread out across 110 yards. It doesn't matter who spreads out where.
Yeah, but again,
how can you not get that? It doesn't matter. Like, there's going to be space somewhere on a pitch. Like, football is played and managed by managers who try and exploit the space that other teams leave. Depending on the way you play, you are going to leave certain space exposed, whether it's on the touchline.
That's not having your team stretched. That's you stretching teams.
Which happens as a converse of the other. You stretch teams, they stretch you. Like, you can't just impact your way of football on someone else.
That's how PSG dominate. That's how teams like PSG, Barcelona, Bayern historically have dominated. They've controlled the pen teams in.
So Barca have never had a line that sat back. Carlos Puyol would never sat back. Never ever sat back and played deep.
In moments.
Puyol, never. No, never. The midfield was never stretched.
But not really. No, in moments.
Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta never stretched. Never cover a large amount of space in midfield. No.
Yeah, no. They'd hunt in packs. They'd move in packs. They'd be a lot more controlled in the space.
They'd move vertically across the pitch.
They wouldn't. You look at Pep Guardiola again. It's about the compactness of hunting in that packs. You don't allow the massive amount of space to play out of.
Yeah, I just think for me it's an interesting conversation because, like I said, it draws many factors of what we still need to do, and it just shows you that we're nowhere near where we need to be right now, because that is the next step of where we are right now. And pressing, midfield, dominance, possession, like they're all the intangibles that we need to still figure out. They're all them there still. We've got wins, but now win with style is the one that everyone's looking for, right? So now,
listen, we'd all love that. Like, not me, Ash, you. We'd all love to go to Old Trafford, and we'd all love to see us play entertaining, amazing football and get 3 points every week. None of us are going to argue that point, right? Unfortunately, football doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you have to shithouse a 1-0 win. Sometimes you have to play on the back foot, and you have to manage each game. And yes, it's okay to say we need to have a plan, and I agree we should have a plan. Carrick should want to play on the front foot. But I don't buy into this premise that you have to have this profile of player. Like, I just don't. I don't buy into that at all.
Yeah. Okay.
So Alex has had loads of different players. Pep's had loads of different style of players. I don't think. I'm confused by the fact. I think people pick up on terms that are thrown around social media and think that there's a perfect way to play football.
Yeah.
And you can talk about PSG and their dominance, and okay, teams at the moment are playing in a certain way. But when City and Liverpool both dominated over that 6, 7 year period, they played completely contrasting styles of football. Yeah. United and Arsenal in the 90s played completely contrasting styles of football. Newcastle, Blackburn and United in the mid-90s played completely contrasting styles of football. That's what makes football interesting. That's why managers have jobs. They see what's being played in front of them and they adapt on the pitch. That's how sport works. It's not played on paper.
James, we get that. But the problem is we can't play that wide of contrasting football. We need to have an ideology of how we play. Yeah, we can be adaptable to a certain extent. But what we need to do is against the lesser teams, for example, you want to be playing a more consistent style of football where you are dominating, you are controlling. Now, okay, yeah, you can adapt and be pragmatic and adaptable. Like Sir Alex Ferguson was, like you mentioned with Park Ji-sung against Pirlo and Ander Herrera against Hazard and stuff. Yeah, you can have those moments where you do that, but generally you want to have a style and a unique style of play. So and that's all I want to see at United.
United couldn't play attacking football with Pallister and Bruce, who sat deep. Like, it's like you're linking the attacking, controlling play with a high line. Like, and it's not playable without one or the other. That's what I don't get.
I think you're right. I think you're both right in between. You know, there just needs to be a balance.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think there's a balance of either way. But
everyone sees football differently. We're not saying anyone's right or wrong. By the way, we're having a discussion.
No, I agree.
In this podcast.
I agree.
We're having a discussion. I just think
James,
that, I don't think.
What do you prefer? The Pallister Bruce, or do you prefer the Rio Vidic?
If you're asking me what I prefer the Rio Vidic. Like, I do prefer that. So this isn't a preference thing. This is just me saying you can play attacking football with a low block, and these terms get thrown around, I think, online by people that don't really they get attached to these terms and don't really understand how it plays out in a game and on a football pitch. Thinking that you don't control a game because you have a low block or you need to be really compact in the middle of the park. Games don't play out like that. They don't.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, people, we're gonna wrap up here, man. It's been a wicked show, man. Honestly, been very, 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 very entertaining. Very, very opinionated. And that's what it's all about, people. Saeed TV, we love to have opinions, different opinions. And yeah, let us know your midfield free, what you like, what you don't like. And have you agreed or disagreed with us today, man? Ash, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on as usual, bro.
Nah, as always, thanks for having us, Saeed. Always enjoyable to come on and chat with the boys and chat with James and Shells and that. And big shout out to Flawless and Double A, who unfortunately missed it today. But yeah, now always fun. I mean, it's United, isn't it? At the end of the day, we all want to see our team win and do well and hopefully get it right. And with you a title, it's painful watching Arsenal, down there, enjoying themselves with the Premier League. It needs to be us now. It's shameful that it's been so long for us. So I just hope that we're on here over next season. Enjoying it a little bit more. But I appreciate it as always.
Come on, bro. Always love. And also got man like James in the building. Big up to you, bro.
Yeah, big up. Cheers for having me on, Saeed. Great to speak to you. Great to speak to Ash. People have this idea that we're argumentative and stuff. Listen, it's all about opinions. It's all football. We're all mates.
That's how you want to be in it. Do you know what I mean?
It's so fun.
Have an argument. That's what you want.
People get they want us all to agree. Saeed only invites us on to agree. We have different opinions on football. We all watch football.
Team, do you know what I mean?
It's so funny, man. People think there's drama everywhere. It's we get on, we chat about football. It's all fun, right? But pleasure to be on. I've got so I'm at my gym, Manchester based, so Bolton. Any online coaching inquiries, any gym inquiries, come hit me up. Follow me on Instagram. Big up to Saeed, big up to Ash, big up to Shells before. And pleasure as always, guys.
Come on. Big up to you, man. Big up to everyone that's locked in. Shout out to everybody here. Make sure you follow them. Links in the description. I'm off to Canada in the morning. So,
there you go.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Safe travels, man.
Safe travels,
appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. There'll be pre-recorded content tomorrow. So look out for that one. And then, I'll be dropping in little bits and bobs over the time if there's any breaking news. If not, World Cup Thursday as well. So listen, people, enjoy. I appreciate it. If you are in Canada, make sure you hit me up. Let's chat. Let's talk. And man, I appreciate every single one of you. Yeah, Toronto. That's the place we're going. So man, big up to you lot. I appreciate you lot. And man, hopefully United can go and get the two midfielders that we're talking about. Let's find out.